What's up, guys? Happy Tuesday. Spring breakers. Hope everybody's enjoying that time off. Got an interesting episode for you guys today. Coming at ya. Good evening, friends, allies in healthcare, and curious minds across the globe. I'm Dr. Acosta, your guide on this enlightening journey we call the Know Your Pharmacist live stream. As the CEO of PharmTrue, I'm here to connect our community with the pulse of pharmacy and healthcare innovations. And tonight we delve into a topic that's not just timely, but crucial. In the wake of the groundbreaking White House roundtable on PBM reform yesterday, we stand at a pivotal moment in healthcare history. It's a time where transparency, advocacy, and genuine change are more than just buzzwords. They are beacons guiding us towards a more equitable and accessible healthcare system. As we navigate these waves of change, let's brainstorm together, harnessing the collective power of knowledge, community, empathy, and scientific insight. Tonight's stream isn't just about presenting facts, it's about weaving a tapestry of understanding, collaboration, and empowerment. In the spirit of continuous learning and innovation, I'll be sharing a personal reflection, a transformative realization about Mark Cuban's role in reshaping pharmacy dynamics. It's a moment of honesty, a blend of vulnerability, and hopefully a little bit of peppered in leadership as I publicly adjust my stance in light of new insights and evolving perspectives. Moreover, we will explore the complex relationship between cannabis and mental health and discuss advancements in men's health over the past 2 decades. Each segment is a piece of the larger puzzle of our collective well-being. As your host, I pledge to not only inform, but to captivate and inspire. Together, we'll unravel complexities, challenge preconceptions, and ignite a passion for proactive health. Our discussions tonight are not just exchanges of ideas, they are catalysts for real-world impact and positive transformation. So let's embark on this journey of enlightenment together. Your participation, insights, and questions are not just welcome, they are essential. Together, we'll shape a healthier, more informed world. The future of pharmacy and healthcare is unfolding right here, right now. Let's dive in. So, showing you guys here on the screen. So the National Community Pharmacist Association came out with a heavy-hitting statement today regarding the PBM reform and everything that's happening right now in the country. So, the CEO of the National Community Pharmacist Association, Douglas Hoey, he responded to Congress's failure to include bipartisan pharmacy benefit manager reform in the new spending package. So, quote on, the definition of dysfunctional is when Congress can't pass reforms that majorities on both sides support. Both sides in both houses know that PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers, are increasing the cost of prescription drugs. They know the system lacks fairness and transparency. They know taxpayers are being cheated. They know patients are paying too much. They know local pharmacies are disappearing as a result. They know what must be done and they know they must do it now, but they failed again. The clock is ticking for many community pharmacies, which are hanging on by a thread. As we pointed out last week in a national survey, a third of independent pharmacies are considering whether to close their doors this year. For those pharmacies that survive, almost all of them are reevaluating whether they will continue to participate in Medicare in 2025. They need relief now. If Congress fails to act this year, thousands of pharmacies could close and millions of patients could be stranded. No more punts, no more delays, no more promises. Congress must reform PBMs this year. Strong statement from the CEO of the National Community Pharmacists Association, much appreciated in a dire time of need. And, we'll unpack kind of entirely what this whole thing means for, our country as a whole, not only, the state of New Mexico on a granular level, guys, but really healthcare in the United States of America as we know it. We really have some weird things going on in this country. Capitalism got a little out of control to where all of a sudden a free market is not so free anymore. So let's just talk about the ass backwards facts here. So in 2022 alone, the United States spent $12,555 per person on healthcare, which is more than $4,000 than other high income countries. Think about that. The USA also spends nearly twice as much on healthcare per capita as other wealthy OECD countries. What the heck is going on, right? Theft. I mean, simple as that. And really what got out of control was, our own capitalistic system, which thus didn't quite create a good checks and balances when it came to healthcare, right? It's crazy. According to a 2023 study, guys, the United States has the lowest life expectancy at birth and the highest avoidable death rates when compared to other wealthy countries. Isn't that crazy? We literally spend far more on healthcare than every other country. We spent in 2021 18% of our gross domestic product on healthcare, while the next closest spender was Germany at just under 13%. What's going on? Why are we spending so much when we're treating the same things all around the world? Yet we're not getting any healthier. You guys see this like negative feedback loop that continues to happen? Well, the problem is pharmacy benefit managers. They are a big contributor to the issue, right? Pharmacy benefit managers not only owned by companies such as, CVS, Caremark, right? Who also own the pharmacies, who also own the other parts of the supply chain, the manufacturers. They also control the insurance billing, right? And so that part there where they not only contract out with, the states, right, to do state Medicaid programs, or whatever other commercial programs within the state to be had, Medicare programs with the federal government. They set up these big plans of, hey, we're the insurance now. We're going to be a middleman called a PBM between you and your health, pretty much, right? So the pharmacist is over there billing things to the PBM, right? So what the pharmacist does is they send the PBM a claim. The PBM takes pretty much a large chunk of what would have been a pharmacy's profit from a reimbursement of a drug that a pharmacy bought and filled themselves. The insurance somehow found this way to cherry pick some little way for this middleman situation to literally pull out giant amounts of fees, not only at the time, but then they retro bail you too if they, find anything else. So again, we're talking about 37% of pharmacies, independent pharmacies in the country could close this year. That's insane. That's literally insane, right? And there was some mild amount of PBM reform that happened early this year with DIR fees and transparency and this, that, and the other. All it did was ruffle the feathers of the big PBMs. And we're going to really unpack what the heck that even means, right? These guys, have the ultimate, leverage, right? And when you've got the leverage, nothing else really matters at that point. And they literally have created a weird loophole to, being the United States is spending 40% more on healthcare than any other country in the world. Our drug costs are insane for the same drugs because someone decided that they want to take a part of the cut, right? So not only if it's the manufacturers jack up that price to work with the PBMs to make sure the PBMs have enough to feed themselves so that the manufacturers can thus make a killing on their brands. And then the independent pharmacist who's doing all the freaking work and actually caring for their patients in their community, going out there, pays $1,000 for a brand name medication only to get reimbursed by the insurance 3 months later, $800 back and saying good luck, right? And these are the problems that are truly actually hurting independent pharmacy today. In the past, I think the more naive side of me was saying, hey, if this is a roadblock in the pharmacy industry, in my come up in the pharmacy industry, of course, insurance contracting, a big part of what I have done. I've credentialed multiple pharmacies. I understand how that goes. I understand how the billing goes, right? I understand how long it takes to make money back, depending on whatever plan it may be, right? And so you've got 3 big insurance companies in the entire USA, or PBMs, that control the entire market. That's not a free market, right? And thus, they've just keep jacking it up. It's almost like gas. But at the same time, we're doing it to ourselves. We have the supply. What are we doing, right? And then on top of that, these manufacturers that may or may not even be in the country are the ones that are skyrocketing the cost and then charging every other country way less, but the US is paying for it. And it's not like we're getting any healthier. It's wild. It's literally wild. And, it's weird that this whole thing is coming to a head with independent pharmacy. And it's even weirder that now Mark Cuban's involved, right? Because 5 years ago, nobody realized that Mark Cuban was in pharmacy or had anything to do with it, and it's a lot to say there. So, You guys, I want to show a couple clips that I thought were really important coming out of the roundtable discussion. Not only Mark Cuban's take, but some other very important points that are, driving the point home for the fact that PBM reform needs to have happened yesterday. As much as the government right now, the current government, the past government, the future government makes promises to change, until something actually changes, these promises are just prolonging the amount of money that they can keep sucking away from every single citizen in this country while sucking away their health, right? What is the point of spending 15% of your life earnings on healthcare after you turn the age of 65, even if you have the money to save, right? And our healthcare system has pretty much been designed to clean you out of your retirement, of how much, basically of the maximum amount of money that you have so that you can die broke, right? And that's effed up. That doesn't make any sense, right? Of course, we want to put the responsibility back on, the citizens, on the person. Hey, you should have your own finances in place. You should have your 401ks in place, right? And some who are blessed and fortunate to have those things, great, absolutely. Those who are, have worked hard for a living, who have done these things, and then all of a sudden are sitting here facing, $20,000+ cancer treatments, prostate cancer treatments, breast cancer treatments. You're looking at it all just to extend, some what ifs here, where what for what, right? Because it's just a sludge fund with not a lot of results. It's just like prolonging inevitable points, and that's a really effed up way to kind of present that. But when you really think about it, that's the reality, right? And it's not okay, and it's only going to continue to keep taking us to the absolute cleaners in this country, unless we truly understand the inner workings of what's going on and we, find our way to work ourselves out of this. Capitalism, it's a game, right? It's a game like anything else in the world. If you want to think of it as a game, sure, right? You got to play to win, right? It gives you an opportunity to play to win. That's what I loved about pharmacy in the first place. It was like, hey, I can find a way to win, right? And for me, I found some mild ways to win with insurance. I really went heavy into the cannabis because, of course, independent pharmacy, where they're saying, hey, it's dying. Well, let's fix pharmacy, right? And so I love cannabis, right? We can absolutely marry those things. Sure. That was a personal journey I took along the way, but at the same time, right, we still have everything else. And pharmacy for me is all the same, right? And so where we look at, hey, you don't have to necessarily deal with insurances right now when it comes to cannabis, because you can just sell things, right? If you're a compounding pharmacy, the same thing, so again, unless you have other additional revenue streams and creative ways to make money as a pharmacy, if you were one of those traditional guys that was doing it, back in the day to now, you're eating that. You don't know how to change, right? And doesn't mean you're not a good pharmacist, doesn't mean you don't run a good pharmacy. And it doesn't mean, you should have to entirely change the entire face of the business model in order to adjust what's going on in the country, right? Because, they've created, the PBMs, these big pharmacy benefit managers, such as, CVS Caremark, for say, Humana, for say, right? Have their mail order pharmacies, which they reek in all the best, profiting medications. Every medication that has the best reimbursements, every medication that is going to actually, make significant amounts of profit, they funnel you to mail order. And you know how they make you choose? They give you the freedom of choice, but they say, hey, if you want to fill it at an independent, your copay is hundreds of dollars. If you want to fill it with us, you can get 90-day supplies for free in the mail, right? And so not only do they take the independent pharmacy to the cleaners by not reimbursing them back on the brand name medications, right? They, again, funnel in all the good meds to them. So, what is the actual, pharmacy left with now? Chronic meds, generic chronic meds, still under reimbursed by these insurance plans that are paying for what, right? So that's a rough situation, right? And you look at, the liability and all those things on top of owning a business. Yes, of course, these are the costs to play, but is the game slightly fixed? And is that okay, right? I think those are good questions to ask, right? Of course, if you find a way to win, good for you. But if you're fixing the game and you're just getting away with it, something's got to give, right? Something's got to give. So let me show you guys a couple, I think very important conversations that happened yesterday at the roundtable that I kind of cherry picked as, some of my favorite remarks and people that talk. But I'm going to start here.
Like from powerful corporate middlemen in our healthcare system. The FTC over the last few years has been flooded with stories suggesting that these middlemen engage in tactics that hike the price of drugs, deprive patients of access to certain medicines, and drive community pharmacists out of business. PBMs are supposed to help bring down drug costs.
Check this out.
These work.
And I think I will hand it over right now to Chairwoman Khan.
Great. Thanks so much, Secretary Becerra, and thanks so much to Directors Brainerd and Pandon for their leadership. I'm so grateful for everything that the White House is doing to fight for Americans who face soaring drug prices. Our mission at the FTC is to enforce the nation's antitrust and consumer protection laws so that American consumers, workers, and small businesses can thrive. I'd like to share a few words about the FTC's work to protect the public from powerful corporate middlemen in our healthcare system. The FTC over the last few years has been flooded with stories suggesting that these middlemen engage in tactics that hike the price of drugs, deprive patients of access to certain medicines, and drive community pharmacists out of business. PBMs are supposed to help bring down drug costs, but all too often, the stories that we hear from patients and healthcare workers instead describe PBMs as dominant gatekeepers who have outsized power to decide how people do or don't receive the life-saving prescription drugs that they need, and too often to price gouge them for those drugs. As PBMs have consolidated and vertically integrated, we hear of a system where corporate red tape and bureaucracy all too often obstruct patients from getting their medications, sometimes with devastating consequences. One doctor, for example,